Hello everyone, Stan here from Hitman Action Sports, and today I will be showing you how to take apart an e-cocker and some general maintenance you can do. I will also be showing you how to take apart the solenoid. Note that this is a mid-block autococker, similar to a half-block autococker. What that means is that it does not have the back block like a full-bodied autococker, so I won't be getting into the steps specific to full-bodied autocockers. Fortunately though, much is the same. This gun is an '06 Special Edition Black Magic autococker in real tree camo. The process used was hydro dipping, and as far as I know, only one run of the real tree editions was made, and it consisted of only Black Magic and Carnivore autocockers. Rumors are that as few as 20 and as many as 200 were made, but I have never talked to a source that can confirm this. If you know the exact details of this run, please post in the comments section because a lot of people over at the Autococker owner group on Facebook are interested to know, including myself. I would like to give a shout out to Taylor Mcintyre for donating this gun to my cause. Because of his generosity, I will be able to use this gun to do e-cocker related tech videos. So thanks a million, Taylor. You are too awesome for words. And as a side note, I was actually the original owner of this gun, believe it or not. But I sold it and it changed hands a few times before coming back to Taylor in rough shape with broken internals. Taylor gave it back to me if I promised to fix it up and bring it to its full form again. And indeed, his wishes have been honored, and frankly, I could not be happier. I have a great sentimental attachment to this Black Magic. I actually used it for a year in the ATWL, or Atlantic Tactical Woodsball League, and it worked like a dream for every game. Definitely some of the funnest paintball I've ever played was during the ATWL while I was using this gun. But unfortunately, times got financially tight for me when I went to university and I had to sell the gun, so I am simply thrilled to have it back and fix it up. Well, back on topic, but actually, you know what? One more little funny story first. You see this part here that goes where the beaver tail would on a regular autococker? I actually lost that on the woodsball field once for over a year, but a year later I came back to that same spot and there it was, right where I thought I had dropped it. Sounds kind of lame now. You had to be there. It was pretty cool, okay? Anyways, I'm most impressed that the hydro dipping survived the elements, but yeah, okay, no more distractions. Let's take this bad boy apart. First, I am going to remove the bolt and the pull pin and set them aside while I get my sticky tack out. Here, this is my secret weapon. You'll see what it's for later. And after that, we are going to take the grip frame screws out of the grips. Now, that's going to give us access to the board. Make sure that you do tech work over a good surface and have something to put your screws in always so you do not lose them. And after that, we are going to take the grip off of the trigger frame and remove the eye wire and solenoid wire from the board. These are the first and third wires plugged into the top left-hand side of the board. Almost forgot. Get rid of that barrel. It has no business being here. Get out of here, you stupid barrel. Next, we are going to remove the ASA, or air source adapter. If you use a macro line instead of a steel-braided line like is pictured here, you don't really need to do this because you can easily detach the macro from your regulator. But with steel-braided lines, I find it is harder to make everything line back up in the end if you leave it attached, so just take it off. And next, we are going into territory that's a bit spooky for most players, the solenoid, known by many as the clitoris of the autococker, but have no fear, I am here to show you how to take care of it properly. Yes, I realize that it's almost impossible to talk about autocockers without sexual innuendo just being sprinkled everywhere, so just, let's get it off our chest right now. Cocking rod, three-way, ram shaft, I'm not even going to finish, just get over it. Under the solenoid shroud, you should see two tiny screws. Remove these first, and do not lose any of these screws. All capital letters in my script, by the way. These screws are not reverse threaded, so they are standard righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Okay, no more sexual innuendo. After the screws are out, you can lift the solenoid out of the housing, and just be careful not to snag the wire harness when you're taking it out of the trigger frame, as you can see here. When the solenoid is out, you should see a gasket on top of the two holes where the screws went through to secure the noid to the housing. The gasket is this black rubbery O-ring type thing you see here. Apply a thin layer of grease to the gasket if you have not done so lately. I would recommend doing this once every few months and before and after taking the gun out of storage. Only use grease, do not use gun oil. I recommend Dow 33 or Tech T gun salve. The show is completely independent, and I am not endorsed by Tech T, just saying that now, but I seriously swear by this stuff, okay? Before we do anything else, we need to make sure nothing happens to these screws. That is where my nice piece of sticky tack comes in. I've shaped the sticky tack to match the solenoid shape to use as a screw pincushion. By doing this, I can remember which screws go where and keep them safe from getting lost. Not all the screws in the solenoid are the same, so remembering which one goes where is mandatory. Do not jump into this step without knowing what order the solenoid screws go in, or else punishable by death. Next, remove the screws from the front of the solenoid. There is a small cap that is secured here, and like always, do not lose this piece. Basically, it goes without saying, but some of these things are harder to find replacements for than others, so bear that in mind. Under the solenoid cap, there will be another O-ring which could use some lube love. Always remember not to over-lube things, only a small thin layer will do, just enough to keep the O-rings from drying out. After that, we are going to remove the screws from the back of the solenoid where the wire is going into. Like always, keep these screws safe, and underneath here you will find yet another O-ring to take care of, and the two final screws. Once they are out and in the pincushion, you will be able to take this silver piece out. I believe it is called a solenoid piston. Remember which end is which, naturally, for when you put it back in. One side is dimpled to help you differentiate. The piston is home to more O-ring friends, and they will also appreciate a good rub down as much as the next guy with a big old bottle of lube. Like always, only use a small amount. And here is where the fun begins. Do everything you just did, but in reverse. This is why I recommend familiarizing yourself with the order the solenoid goes together beforehand, because if not, you won't know until you air the gun up again, and one of many potential issues arises. When you are putting it together, no parts of the solenoid should need to be forced together. They should all easily fit into place with the holes and screws lining up perfectly. If they do not, you have done something wrong, and never attempt to force anything into place or you're going to have a bad time. I actually screwed it up when I made this video, and I had to shoot it again just to let you know. The most important part of putting the solenoid back in is the last step. Make sure the wire is inserted back into the body first. Next, make sure the two screws that hold it in place line up with the holes in the gasket and manually feed them through so they will not unseat the gasket when you put it back in. And be very careful at this step, because if the gasket isn't seated properly or it is pinched in some way, it could blow when you air the gun up, and replacements are not always easy to come by. Well, with that dragon slain, next we are going to take on the internals of the marker. If your marker has a beaver tail or another rear frame accessory like seen here, remove that as well. Also get that eye protector screw out while you're at it if you have not already. It is that microscopic and super easy to lose screw on the eye cover. Do not lose this or your ass will be grass greener than the camouflage on this gun. Next, remove your IVG or internal velocity governor, spring, and the hammer. To do this, see my last video. It's a universal process for all autocockers. Next, we're going to take the valve out. The Black Magic has a trilogy-style valve, which I actually prefer because you can take it out with one set screw, like you're seeing me do here. With many autocockers, you need a dedicated valve tool or some seriously long needle nose pliers to get the valve retention ring out. After the set screw or retention ring is out, very carefully remove your valve. A dental pick works best, but my pick is over there and I'm lazy. Don't be like me. Do not use a screwdriver. Once the valve is out, you should lubricate it by putting a small amount of grease on the O-rings. I highly recommend doing this for preparing your marker for storage or taking it out of storage, because if these O-rings dry out, you might get that slow, annoying hiss from down the barrel or inside of the body, as has been the bane of many paintball forum goers the world over. Next, get that long ribbony wire. This is what the gun uses to detect paintballs in the chamber. Make sure that the black head at the end is clean and that the wire itself is not damaged, because if it is dirty or broken, the gun won't function properly. While we are here, we may as well put a small bit of grease on the bolt O-rings. When using a Delrin bolt, this is only necessary to keep the O-rings from drying out. If your bolt is made of Delring and has no O-rings, do not lubricate it. And do not use gun oil, as this can cause the Delrin to swell and render the bolt unmovable. Well, that is all for today, you amazing viewers. A video on how to sweet spot the regulator is coming very soon, fear not. I would have gotten into taking apart the RAM and LPR, but the hydro dipping was done to these parts when they were all together on this gun. So I fear that if I take them apart, it may make the paint, or hydro dipping rather, chip, and it might leave tool marks, so I'm not going to deal with that right now. If you wanted a ritzy-pritzy video on how to take apart the RAM and LPR, go somewhere else, or ask me very nicely, and I might make a video on it later, at a later date in the future, using different pneumatics, obviously. But as always, thanks for watching, and like this video and share it with the other 0.001% of the population that this entire video would not just be complete gibberish to. Good luck on the field, everyone, and thanks again. Alright, just some last minute shoutouts before I leave. I want to thank Taylor Mcintyre again for sponsoring this video. If you see that man around, give him a hug. You will not regret it. Also, I'd like to thank Bruce Johnston, who took the pictures at the ATWL. Bruce is an amazing guy and an awesome paintball player, and I believe he is still the team captain of the Tippinators. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bruce, but yeah, really cool guy. Go check out his stuff if you can. Anyways, yeah, nothing else to see here, people. Have a good day.